we have 24 and we are presenting on a flight booking system. We are writing a C program for a flight booking system. And I'm taking the basic data structure of the code. So in our code, we use three standard libraries. The stdr.h, that's for input and output functions. The stdl5v.h for general utility function like memory allocation. String.h for string manipulation function. And this is the flight structure. Destination, a string to store flight destination. Date, a string to store the flight date. Price, a floating point number to represent the price of the flight. Six, an integer to indicate the number of the flight. And this part, this initialize an array named flight containing several flight structures. Each entry in the array represents a different flight with its destination, date, price, and available seats. So this is the flight count. The size of flight, this side, gives the total size and price of the flight array. And the size of flights gives the size of a single flight structure, dividing the total size of the array by the size of one element gives the number of elements in the array, which is stored in the variable flight count.
Okay, so I go by the name Emmanuel Fiakbeya. So I'll be starting from line 21. Here in line 21, we see flight underscore count equals size of array flight divided by size of flight indexing the first element. This helps us to get the actual length of the array so that we can use the for loop properly when using the array. Let's move to line 24. Here in line 24, we see void display flights. Here we can see we have used the void function, which helps us to display the available flight, the destination, the dates, price, seats available. And then in line 25, we see printf available flight. And then here we see we have used /n. This helps us to take the code to the next line. And in line 26, we see short dashes. This helps to make the code presentable and readable. Let's move to line 29. Here in line 29, we have introduced the for loop. And then inside the for loop, we see int I equals 0, I less than flight underscore count I plus plus. Here we are trying to say that while the integer I is less than the flight underscore count, which we discussed in line 21, we are trying to get the length of the array so that the loop doesn't go over the specified amount of looping. We try to get that size of array by using the size of operation, which we see here in line 21, the size of operation. Let's move to line 30. In line 30, we see percentage %d and we also see percentage minus 11 seconds. The percentage %d helps us to display the destinations available, and then the percentage minus 11 seconds helps us to ensure proper alignment of the code which is displayed in the terminal. Here also we see the use of the short dashes, which helps to make the code presentable and readable. Let's move to line 36. Here we see book flights and then int choice. So we are deciding to use int because we want the number of seats to be in integers. Let's move to line 39. Display flights. Here we are only going to ask the user to enter the flight number to book or to exit. So with that, when the user is done, we accept the data with the use of scanf percentage %d and choice.
Hi there, I'm Patrick Mashikote, and I'll be explaining the third part of the code functionality, which is the function which describes how the user books a flight. Starting from line 43, if the choice, that is, the input of the user, is equal to 0, printf exiting booking system return. What this part of the code does is that we would like a user to get an option to exit the booking system and a return type being displayed so that the user or the program can return to the main menu. From line 48, we could see that if the user choice is less than 1 or the user choice is greater than flight underscore count, printf invalid selection, please try again, return. What this part of the code does is that if the user enters values that are less than 1, that is negative values, but the user choice is greater than the required amount of values, which is being set to flight underscore count. The flight underscore count, which was initially defined over here in the code as being equal to size of flights divided by size of flights for the first index, which is a formula very popular to us when trying to loop through an array using the for loop. We would like the program to print out an error message that the user's input is invalid, the return. We wouldn't like our program to break, we wouldn't like our program to stop, but our program must return to the main menu so our user can re-input a choice. Line 53 is an interesting part of this code. Why I say that is because we all know that arrays are being indexed starting from 0. So when our user inputs one choice, the message or the value going to be displayed to the user is going to be the second element in the array, but the intention of the user is to print out the first element of the array. So to address this, we set the choice of the user -1, that is, for every input of the user it should be decremented by 1 so that it can be assigned to the specific element in the array. That is, if the user chooses 1, 1 is decremented by 1 and becomes 0 and is assigned the first element of the array and is going to display the first element. 2, 2 decremented by 1 and is going to print out the second element in the array. Line 56 and 55, which is printf enter number of seats to book, the scanf operator accepting the input and setting it to the variable seat underscore to underscore book. This accepts the integer value from the user, which is specifying the number of seats the user would like to book. If should in case the user selects seats that are above the required number of seats being set by the system, an error message should be printed out. That is, not enough seats are available. Try booking fewer seats. Return. Let's look at an example over here. The number of seats assigned to New York is 10. That of London is 5. That of Paris is 8. That of Tokyo is 6. So, should in case for Tokyo, the user enters number of seats he or she wants to book to be 10, an error message is going to print it out because Tokyo has a limit of seats, available seats. Paris, should in case the user enter number of booking seats as being 8, an error message as being 9, an error message should be displayed that the number of available seats is 8. Not forgetting the return also being stated here. That is, we wouldn't allow our program to break or our program to end, but our program should return to the main menu so that our user can enter a valid input. Finally, this section of the code or another requirement of our system is that we would like our system to continually update itself per the number of seats booked by the user. So an example being here is that the number of initial seats is 10 for New York. So if our user selects 5 seats for New York, the program is going to update so that the remaining seats is going to be 5 with respect to all other destinations. And finally, our program should print out a message confirming the number of seats booked by the user, the destination of the user, and the date of the flight or the trip, which is printf booking confirmed seats booked for on comma seat underscore to underscore book flight index dot destination flight index dot date.
Moving on to line 76, which is print F, enter your choice. This allows the user to enter any of the available choices, which is either to view flight, book a flight, or exit the menu. Let's go to line 77. Scan F, percentage sign D, the N sign and option. This reads the user's choice from the input and stores it in the variable, which is then ready to run. Let's go to line 79. The switch into bracket option. This switch statement then uses the value of option to determine which code block to execute. Let's move to line 80, which is case 1, display flight break. If the user chooses 1, the display flight function is called. This function will display a list of available flights which has been stated at the beginning of our code. Case 2, book flight break. If the user chooses 2, the book flight function is called. This function will guide the user through the booking processes of a flight. On line 86, we have case 3, which shows printf into bracket thank you for using the flight booking system, bracket close break. If the user chooses 3, a thank you message is displayed and then a break statement which exits the switch statement. Let's go to default, printf invalid choice, please try again, backslash and bracket close. If the user enters an invalid choice or a choice that is not within the available choices or options, then an error message is displayed. Let's go to return 0. Finally, after the loop terminates, the statement indicates that the program has been executed.
My name is Caleb Bloom. I'm 24, which is presenting on the flight ticket booking system. My index number is 24 25 40 10 16, and I'm here to demonstrate how the code will run in terminal. So let's start. First, as you always do, you save the code. After saving the code, you will run it. You can choose to use the run button to say, or I always like to use the Control Alt N. Didn't work, so let's try using the button. There's a round code. So it is here. It's run. I don't know why the other one didn't work. So flight ticket booking system. 1, view flights. 2, book a flight. 3, exit. Enter your choice. So let's start by viewing our flights. So 1, enter. Available flights. We have we have number, destination, date, price, and seats available. So 1, we have New York. The date of departure. Date here, 15th March 2025. The price is $250.50, and this is available at 10. Landing, second we have landing, which is 18th March 2025. Price is $300, 35 75 cents. The available seats are 5. Paris, we have 20th March 2025. Price is $275, 30 cents. Available seats are 8. 4, we have Tokyo, 25th March 2025. Available price $500. Available seats 6. So after we knowing the flight schedules, let's now move to booking a flight. So now go to 2, enter. As you know, the same thing will appear, but here we have enter the flight number to book. So let's choose to London and press enter. Enter number of seats to book, and here it's already here, so 5. Just enter 5. We are done. Yeah, that is that simple. Booking confirmed. 5 seats booked for London 2025 March 18. So here press read and we exit. Thank you for using flight booking system.
In summary, my group and I wrote a C program that simulates a simple flight booking system. It defines a flight structure to store flight details, destination, date, price, and available seats. An array of flight structures initialize the system with sample flight data. The display flight function iterates through the flight array and neatly prints the flight details in a tabular format, showing flight number, destination, date, price, and available seats. The book flight function allows users to book flights. It calls display flights to present available options. The user selects a flight by its number, and the program validates the input. Then the user specifies the number of seats booked. The system checks if sufficient seats are available. If so, it documents the seat count for the selected flight and displays a booking confirmation. Otherwise, it informs the user of insufficient seats. The main function presents a menu-driven interface. Users can choose to view flights, book a flight, or exit. A do while loop keeps the menu active until the user chooses to exit. A switch statement handles the user's menu section, calling the appropriate function. Input validation ensures that the program handles incorrect users' inputs gracefully. The program then terminates gracefully after